Welcome back. Getting you the latest news now from the Indian Olympic Association, where there has been a tremors of sort because you have two live presidents who've been appointed. A CWG scam tainted Suresh Kalmadi and Abhay Chautala facing corruption cases, who've been given the honor of live president of Indian Olympic Association. It's interesting because India today spoke to the sports minister Vijay Goyal also, who has said that he will seek report in the matter. He's objected to this elevation, giving out a stern message that the decision of the Indian Olympic Association is not acceptable. With Kalmadi and Chautala now back at the helm as a live president of the Indian Olympic Association, much is expected. Let's first take you through what's the entire battle all about. Well, take a look at Suresh Kalmadi's background report. Arrested in CWG scam in April 2011, later released on bail. He headed the IOA as chief for about 15 years, but he has charges of corruption, inflated contracts during CWG scam. He's accused of giving at least 141 crore rupees contract to Swiss Timing for equipment. And also, that's not all. Swiss Timing deal was inflated by 95 crore rupees. And close aides is Lalit Bhanot, VK Verma were also arrested. It was a massive scam during the Commonwealth Games, forcing Suresh Kalmadi to step down as IOA chief. And then you had Abhay Chautala taking the helm, but he also faces DA cases, that is disproportionate assets cases, which has also led questions on his background. This leads to the final point, that why are these two being given the elevation? Let me go across to my colleague Rahul, who's joining us at the moment. Take us through what is the process, Rahul, of electing IOA live presidents. Does the ministry also have say in this process?
Well, Devina, first of all, it has been a tradition for the IOA that it honors its former presidents by appointing them the live president. It's a tradition, but obviously it is not bigger than probably for the sake of the athletes. Both these gentlemen have been dictating the terms, especially Chautala. It's a complete repeat of the history of what happened in 2012 when India got suspended by the International Olympic Committee, and it took 14 months to come back into the fold. In fact, the athletes were not even allowed to compete under the Indian tricolor for the Sochi Winter Games, and it was only after the sports ministry had to intervene that things did get back to normalcy. But as for this, Abhay Chautala and Suresh Kalmadi, it's completely a message that the IOA has given, that they remain defiant, and it hardly makes a difference to what happens to the Indian athletes. We have sent a huge 117-member contingent for the Olympics, but just 2 medals. But the IOA officials, in fact, so many times we get to hear that the athletes have been complaining about about what has happened in the IOA and because of the IOA. But for today, this is completely a defiant move, and it has only taken back. Probably it will take.
Okay, so Rahul, be with me, because we're also saying good morning to Mr. Abraham, who's a former athlete who's joining us this morning. With sir, before I come to you, I want to play for our viewers what the sports minister had said. He's spoken to India today exclusively, raising his objections.
Sir, Vijay Goyal, sir, as we got to know today, Mr. Abhay Chautala and Suresh Kalmadi have been appointed as life president of IOA. Your first reaction on that?
We are shocked at the resolution passed by the IOA to make Suresh Kalmadi and Abhay Chautala as lifetime president of the IOA. This is totally unacceptable to us because both are facing serious charges of corruption, criminal charges against them.
So sports ministry is that body actually, which sanctions the funds also through SAI and other agencies. What can sports ministry do in this regard? Because IOA has often claimed that they are an autonomous body. So what can sports ministry do here?
We have sought details, and on receipt of the details, we will take appropriate action, definitely. Sports ministry is committed for the good governance and transparency in sports.
So these are the officials that we are talking about are two charge-sheeted officials in the IOA, and they've been charge-sheeted in the court of law as well. So you think the IOA has not done the right thing by appointing them as life president, and morally this is wrong, and as far as the athletes of this country are concerned?
I agree that IOA has crossed their limit, and in fact IOC suspended the IOA when two Lalit Bhanot and this Abhay Chautala were elected as office bearers of the IOA, and the ban was lifted only when both were removed from the management.
So you think there is more than what meets the eye? These are two very influential figures in the IOA. Are these the people who are running the affairs from the backstage in the IOA?
No, it's not now for me to comment on this issue. Actually, after receiving the report from the IOA, we are going to take action.
Okay, how soon can we expect that report to be out, sir?
As soon as possible.
Going across to Reet Ibrahim first and saying good morning to Boria Mazumdar as well, who's joining us. Reet, patronizing Kalmadi, patronizing Chautala, isn't the credibility of Indian Olympic Association under threat now?
It's really ridiculous, something like this has happened, and IOA being the highest sports body in the country, should lead as example to the other sports federations, saying that, they should not have anybody who's tainted or corrupt in the federations, so that, it is in the best interest of the sports person. But if IOA is, electing people like Kalmadi and Chautala, it is really a sad scene because people like us who have been promoting sports and, encouraging young athletes to take up sports professionally and telling them that, okay, the scene in the country is going to change and, it will be better in the future, the support from the federations and associations. We don't have a face now as to what is going on in the country. It's really, really sad. We mean to say that we don't have people who are capable of taking, charge and helping the athletes do their best.
Absolutely, Reet, and that's a valid point that you're raising. Let me go across to Boria Mazumdar for that. Boria, former Olympian saying, don't we have people with enough talent, with enough skill set to lead the positions at the Indian Olympic Association? Why are we zeroing down on same scam-tainted individuals, even elevating them as the president of the Indian Olympic Association? What is the credibility that will be left of IOA, which has already been pulled up by IOC in the past?
Look, frankly, I'm not bothered about Kalmadi, nor about Chautala, nor should you, or should Reet. But the fact is, these people have once again placed India as the sacrificial altar. In the past, because of these tainted people, Indian athletes have not been allowed to participate under the tricolour. For 14 months, we suffered. The entire London Olympics momentum was lost. Indian sport was pushed back by 5 years. They have done the exact same thing again, and look at the timing. 4 months after London Olympics this happened, 4 months after Rio this is happening. December 2012 this happened, December 2016 this is happening again. If the International Olympic Committee suspends India and Vijay Goyal needs to be corrected there, the IOA suspension actually means the Indian athletes cannot participate. So, quote unquote, India is going to be banned. Not the IOA. If the IOA is banned, simply who cares? But the fact is, India as a country will be shamed. India as a country will be suspended. Our athletes will suffer. And what can the sports ministry do? Stop the funding right at this point in time. And the problem is, the IOA is not in isolation. It is a composite body of all sports federations. Every sports federation is indulging in this act of corruption because this has been passed unanimously. So you mean to say in all our sports federations there is not one person who could oppose the election of Kalmadi and Chautala?
Absolutely.
If that is the case, then each of them are complicit in this act of corruption.
Well, Boria, the other camp is saying that Kalmadi and Chautala will not have voting rights, and it is just a regular process under which they have been made the lifetime president of the Indian Olympic Association, and as you rightly said, by unanimous choice. But here is the question that even as a major overhaul of a sports federation is required, Sports Ministry stopping the funding, Sports Ministry in a standoff situation with Indian Olympic Association, all that bureaucracy, all this open fight is only going to impact the athletes and the Olympians from India who are preparing for the next games. Why play with their careers? Why play with their dreams?
Forget the Olympics. Think about the Asian Games. Think about the World Championships. Think about the other events. Every major sports event. I mean, what happened in the Sochi Olympic Games in February of 2014? India had to march under the IOC flag. India did not march under the tricolour. The problem was that the country was shamed in front of the world. Coming to that question about live president who does not have voting right, doesn't matter. The fact that you are electing, you are honoring. What is a live president? It's an honor and a position of privilege. You are giving such people a position of honor and privilege whereby they will be sitting there as observers. So you mean to say an observer will be a charge-sheeted official, an observer will be an official with corruption taint, and that official and that body is transparent and that body is good enough to govern Indian sport? I am sorry, I don't understand Indian sport then. The Sports Ministry, if it vouches for transparency, if it stands up for principles of good governance, it has to stop the IOA.
Absolutely, absolutely, Boria.
Cannot just go on.
Absolutely. Time to put their words into action from the Sports Minister as well. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Reet, for joining us, and Rahul Rawat for breaking out the entire story. First year on India today, where Sports Minister has reacted and asked for stringent action against the Indian Olympic Association step for elevating Kalmadi and Chautala.